Silence is beautiful. Welcome, and if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe and like this video and leave a comment. And in this video, I want to communicate about chaos and what comes after chaos. And there's this thing where you don't know what you don't know, and I want to touch on that. And with you not knowing what you don't know, this, for me, it really led into shadow work and into recognizing my own shadow. And then once you have the recognition of your shadow, not discarding it, but recognizing it as such, and then implementing the awareness that you've learned from recognizing it. And what I've noticed in my personal life is that the most chaotic times that I've ever experienced have been times of massive growth and times of change. And after the chaotic period, there's been massive insight and awareness and growth that came after. So if you're going through something right now that's chaotic, it feels like it's like not how it's necessarily should be, I just want you to invite you to feel into how perfect the chaos is and how timely it is for it to be now. And with this shadow work, so with the shadow, it's hidden, and that's literally why it's the shadow. And so somehow the shadow has to be illuminated as the shadow to even recognize that it is a shadow. And so how do we recognize the shadow as being such? And I have a few methods here that I want to present. And the first one is to ask yourself this question, and it's literally the question of, is this serving my highest potential? And with that question, if the answer is no, then it's most likely something that's related to your shadow and something that you can bring an awareness to integrate it then into your life now. And if the answer is yes, this is serving my highest potential, then most likely it's tied to your purpose and what you're here for. So that's number one. Another way to illuminate your shadow is to ask yourself this question: is this thing, is this decision, is this action that I'm taking, is this next step that I'm taking, is the word that I just spoke, is this coming from a place of fear, or is this coming from a place of love? And if the answer to that question is that it's coming from a place of fear, that's very likely related to your shadow. And if it's coming from a place of love, that's most likely tied to your purpose and to your highest potential. So that's number two. A third way to illuminate your shadow is through plant medicine. And there's multiple plant medicines, such as mushrooms, such as ayahuasca, DMT, cannabis is a plant medicine. And I do not endorse the use of any of these substances, but what I am getting at is that if you so choose to decide to use plant medicine, what I've directly experienced is that they don't necessarily bring something about that's not already in you. And so if you're an angry person and let's say you smoke cannabis or ingest cannabis, the anger that's already in you per se can be brought out to an enhanced degree. And so the plant doesn't necessarily do the healing, but what it can do is illuminate the thing that's already within you, and you can recognize it as such and decide to let go of it, to integrate it, or to do with it as you as is in your best interest. And so plant medicines is a third way of illuminating your shadow. And fourth way to illuminate your shadow is a way of just, you can do this in your daily life, you can do this everywhere, and it's to recognize when you become triggered. And so how do you recognize that? It's like if somebody says something and it brings up an emotion, which is an energy in motion, and like recognizing that like something stirred within you when this person said something, or when this, let's say even so earlier today, I'll share a personal story. I opened the fridge to get breakfast, and a plate actually fell out of the fridge and smashed on the floor. And it was like at the start of the day, and I could have freaked out about it. I could have like really let that get to me, but I chose not to. And so when, let's say if that glass plate smashes and then you get triggered by it, anger comes up, emotions come up, that's something, that's a trigger. And so recognizing your triggers is another way to illuminate your shadow. And continuing with this, so that's this shadow aspect of this. And I also want to get into embracing the divine feminine and the divine masculine within yourself, because there is a balance. And like for myself, it has been an integration process of integrating the divine feminine. And so speaking right now is very masculine. It's putting it out there, it's taking action. And then when I listen, and observe, it's more of the feminine aspects of myself. And so I used to have a hard time accepting compliments. So if somebody says a compliment, giving a compliment is like a very masculine thing, but then there's an ebb and a flow there. So it's, with me not accepting the compliment, I was being overly masculine, because how you accept a compliment is you receive it. And you don't have to do anything to receive a compliment. You can receive it, you can say like, thank you for that compliment, like I greatly appreciated you like saying that to me, like literally this is freaking incredible, like thank you. And you don't have to do anything to receive it. So for me, integrating the feminine side of myself has been a huge contributing factor just to finding balance within my own being. And um, like, for example, like even for myself, um, it can feel like with the over masculine aspect, it can feel like you've got to work and work and work and work in order to like get something, or and that's overly masculine. There's an ebb and a flow to it. There's a balance. There's a you can put a lot of effort in and you can work some, but then it's important that now that you've masculine and you've set things up and you have processes or so forth, then in order to receive, like in order to have a return for the work you've put in, you've got to be able to receive, which is like the feminine. And that's something that I'm learning and that I wanted to share. And I greatly appreciate your time and attention. It is of infinite value. And when people say pay attention, it's a real thing, because you don't get that attention back. You just have in this plane that we're on, there's a finite amount of tension that you can pay, and I feel like we have infinite attention we can pay, but on this current plane, the attention that we can pay is finite. And so thank you infinitely for your time and attention. And if you're new here, be sure to like and comment and subscribe on this video. And I also have a second YouTube channel called The Experience Podcast, and that link is in the description. So if you finish this video all the way through, thank you, and be sure to subscribe to my other YouTube channel, The Experience Podcast. I love you. Peace.